Star Wars Rebels Episode 4 Rise of the Old Masters. Definitely a really great episode. We got to see our first lightsaber battle, which was really cool. We got to, of course, see the Inquisitor up close and personal, which was also really cool. And it just blended together to make a really cool episode. And even without the fight, there are a lot of cool moments in this one. We got to see in the very beginning. Kanan was training Ezra. He's teaching him how to be a Jedi. We get references to the old stories again, like there's no try. It's only do or do not. There is no try, which I thought was really cool. And one of my favorite things about how they reference stuff from the old films is that with these characters being the way they are, they always make it kind of silly. So Kanan says the line, and Ezra's like, "Well, how do I do something if I don't try to do it? It doesn't make any sense." And he's like, "Well, like I don't know. Yoda said it all the time to me, so I'm just kind of saying it to you." It's like he was like the Jedi Master, so I'm just gonna say it to you. So I enjoyed that. I thought it was kind of funny. The beginning part after Ezra fell off the ship, I thought was really cool too. Like I knew he was gonna fall because they kept throwing him. Like Chopper was just throwing those. It looked like tiny milk cartons. Like he was just throwing them too fast. And I knew once Zeb like just dumped the box, and like he's gonna fall off this ship, and he does. And it displayed, and that wasn't even the only part, but it was one of the parts in this episode that really displayed Kanan's strengths and weaknesses. Like he was able to save Ezra after he fell off the ship, and he was falling for a little bit before he stopped. And so he stopped, and he was bringing him back up, and the ship was lowering at the same time. And he had to let it go because it's almost like in this episode we kind of see the Force use up actual energy. Like typically in the films and other shows they've had, it's like the Force is just an extension of you, and that's what the Force really is. But in this, it's such a struggle for Kanan because he's not a full fledged Jedi, that he has these powers and he can use them, but he has a limit in it. After a certain amount of time, it's too much on him, both mentally and physically. So I thought that was really cool. And we got to see more of that at the end of the battle when he stopped the Inquisitor from killing Ezra. And it was like, he sent him up to the ceiling and he tried to hold him there, and then he had to let him go because he couldn't do it for too long. But I love the episode. It's like that the other Jedi Master was dead, because I would have loved to have seen it if they did actually rescue her and then she was sort of off in the show somewhere else. I figured they would just do a storyline where they saved her, and for whatever reason, maybe she would have known, like, no, I can tell like you would be a better teacher for him, and I'll go off and do whatever random thing I'm gonna do. But unfortunately, she was kind of just a zombie almost. It was creepy, but it was really cool. It was a great trap that they set. And then, of course, it leads to the Inquisitor coming in, and he has a super awesome double-sided lightsaber, and I wish everyone did, but that's just me. And he did something, like his lightsaber does something that I've never seen a lightsaber do, and she has the little, it's basically like a motor, and he can just hold it and it'll spin around. And I swear, every time I think of like a random idea for like a new type of lightsaber, it always happens. Like 5 years later, it's like, man, I should have like pitched that myself, and I could have got some money. But it was really cool to see that, and he starts off with one side and they're fighting, and then it's like he goes double sided, and that looks really cool. It's like they did it in stages to make it really cool because it was the first battle we got, so we didn't have to go double sided in the very beginning, and they're in the tiny space and stuff, so they're just fighting back and forth, and he dropped some really serious knowledge on Kanan, which I thought was really really cool, and he went through all these old records of the Jedi, and he knows what Master Kanan had, which I thought was really cool, and he knew that simply due to the fact that he favored a certain fighting style, which I thought was really cool, and it was just crazy. Like he's a better Jedi, like simply put, or a better fighter, I guess, because technically he's a Sith. But he's a better fighter than Kanan is right now, and I would love to see Kanan grow, which I'm sure we'll get to see as well. But I'd love to see Kanan grow as a fighter, and then every time they have their battle like this one, I would say the Inquisitor won for sure. Like the only reason that you could even argue it is because Kanan, of course, got away, but that's only because he was able to stop him when he was going to kill Ezra. But ultimately, he was losing that fight. He was dodging and deflecting, but really, he wasn't advancing too much in that fight compared to the Inquisitor, who was kind of taking him on when he was only using one side of the lightsaber, and then when he went to two, it became a bit more of a challenge. And they were both using the Force, which I always love to see because I hate when we don't get to see people use the Force while they're fighting, and we got to see that quite a bit in this one. So I really enjoyed that too. But he goes double sided, then he does like the crazy motor thing, and it's just spinning, and it made me think of General Grievous from the films because he would always do that where he could spin his hands and stuff. So it was really cool to see that, and he's just spinning the blades around really quick, and we don't get to see him really use that except for when he threw the lightsaber, which was also really cool. And of course, they kept making the joke like Ezra and Zeb said, "Did your lightsaber do that too?" But overall, I thought it was a really cool episode. The ending was really, really cool. I enjoyed the fact that Kanan, like he told Ezra, like I wasn't trying to dump you off. They were both kind of feeling crappy throughout the episode because it's like Ezra was like he just wants to get rid of me because he doesn't really care that much, and Kanan was like, man, I can't help him that much, and I want to give him a better teacher. So it was kind of funny how they were able to come together in the end. And he's like, I never wanted to dump you off. I wanted to help you because I suck as a teacher. So I felt like you needed someone better, and that's why I was so forceful about trying to get her because she's a great Jedi Master, and I know she could teach you better than I ever could. So I enjoyed that, and it's like I I didn't think that I would be able to do it, so now I'm not gonna try. I'm going to do it. I'm going to teach you. And then they of course train at the end of the episode. They play the music and it goes off, and it was a really great ending. I'm excited for next week's episode. I want to see just some crazy stormtrooper stuff. I'd love to see that, like the academy, and how they sort of play around with the idea that they recruit these kids, if it's not just all the clones, which I would have to assume it is, but just how they do the recruitment process, I guess, and pick out which clones are good, which clones are bad, things like that. So I'm excited for next week's episode, but this one was definitely great. You can't hate an episode that has the first lightsaber battle. So I definitely enjoyed this one. Um, just them going through the whole prison system, how it kind of split up between Kanan and Ezra, and Sabine and Zeb, I thought was pretty cool too, because we got to see everyone kind of have their own little battle, so that was nice too. But comment below, let me know what you guys thought about this one, your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and what do you think of the Inquisitor right now? Because based on what I saw in this episode, he's much deadlier to Kanan than Kanan is to him. He knows a lot about the Jedi practices. He's done a lot of research, so he may not have known through the training like Kanan did. And even if he did, they were both fairly young, so they, at that point in time, you would think they had about the same training. And then afterwards, it seemed like the Inquisitor did all the research he possibly could to learn about the Force and learn all these different stances. And if he knew who Kanan's master was simply through reading through all this text, I have to assume he did a lot of training on his own because he doesn't have a master. So, what do you guys think of his introduction to the series? Because I thought it was pretty great. Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.